You know, when you really stop and think about it, our world today it feels like it's governed by two sort of opposing
Oh,
forces.
absolutely. It's a constant tug of war.
You have algorithms on one side, right?
Mm.
This logical, cold, calculating force that decides almost everything.
And if you look at the scoreboard for, what, the last decade, the algorithm has been winning, hands down. It's not even a fair fight.
It decides the news you read, it decides who you are online, and this is the key for our story today. If you get hacked, the algorithm decides if you even exist anymore.
It's the invisible hand, but it's digital. It's managing our entire reality.
Exactly. But sometimes, and it's very, very rare, chaos fights back.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it feels like the universe spends 30 years just meticulously arranging a very specific set of dominoes.
Just waiting.
Just waiting to knock them all down at the exact perfect second a woman's life is about to be completely deleted.
You know, in my field, in cybersecurity, we have a term for almost everything. We talk about threat vectors, 0 days, brute force attack.
Like very technical.
Very. But we never, ever talk about synchronicity. We just don't have a variable for fate. We would never try to calculate the odds of, say, a teenage boy in South America writing a single line of code in 1996.
Okay.
And that one line of code becomes the only key, the sole key, to saving a Hollywood icon's private medical records in the year 2026.
When you put it like that, it sounds like the plot of a movie. I mean, the odds of that specific connection have to be, what?
Astronomically small. We're talking roughly 1 in 4 billion.
1 in 4 billion. So yeah. This isn't just a story about a celebrity getting hacked. This is a case study, really, on what we're calling the BAYWATCH paradox.
And the GeoCities prophecy.
And the login to hell. Welcome to the deep dive.
It's good to be here. We have quite the convergence to unpack today.
We really, really do. And I want to welcome you, our listener, to this deep dive. Just to timestamp this for everyone, we're recording on Saturday, February 14th, 2026.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you listening. Although, I have to say, for the people at the center of our story today, this last week has been anything but hearts and flowers.
Oh, not even close.
It has been, quite literally, a week from hell.
And that's putting it mildly. What we're looking at here is a live, still unfolding crisis. It involved Nicole Eggert, who, I mean, everyone knows as this global icon from the 90s.
Right.
And a man named Alberto Daniel Hill. He's a heavy hitter in the cybersecurity world, but he comes from a completely different universe.
And what I find so incredible about this whole story, despite how terrifying it is that the entire turning point, the thing that saves everything, hinges on something they call the mom protocol.
The mom protocol. It sounds like a joke, doesn't it? Like something out of a sitcom.
It really does.
But in this analysis, it is, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
It's the most effective intrusion detection system we've seen. It's the story of how a retired mother in Uruguay managed to outperform a $1 trillion AI security system.
I cannot wait to get to that part. But first, we really need to set the stage. We need to talk about the target, Nicole Eggert. Now, if you grew up in the 90s, or even if you've just sort of absorbed pop culture through osmosis over the years, you know that name.
Absolutely. You've got Charles in charge, and then, of course, the juggernaut that was BAYWATCH. She was Summer Quinn.
Right, the red swimsuit, the slow motion running on the beach. I mean, she was a global face of the 1990s. And this is so crucial for you to understand, we are not talking about the 90s version of Nicole Eggert today.
No, we're talking about the 2026 reality.
And it's a very different reality.
The context here is absolutely vital because it changes the stakes of the entire story. If you look at the sources, they paint a very stark picture of her current life. Nicole Eggert is battling stage 2 carcinoma.
She's been fighting this for years.
For years, and this completely changes the nature of the asset that was hacked.
Okay, let's drill right into that. When we think of a celebrity's Facebook account, we usually think of, I don't know, vanity, right?
Sure. Selfies, marketing.
Selfies, promotional posts for a new movie, maybe some, behind-the-scenes pictures. It's basically a marketing tool.
Usually, yes, that's what it is. But for Nicole, her Facebook page wasn't a PR tool at all. It was what she called her cancer diary.
And that term is just, it's heartbreakingly accurate.
It is. This account held 7 years of data. And we're not talking about vacation photos. We're talking about chemotherapy logs.
Wow.
Mastectomy updates. Private, deeply personal interactions with support groups. This wasn't just content. This was, for all intents and purposes, her digital medical chart. It was her emotional lifeline and the history of her survival.
And can you just imagine losing that? Imagine 7 years of the hardest battle of your life just poof, vanishing. It's not just losing photos, it's losing the proof that you survived.
And that is what brings us right to the core concept of this entire deep dive, the BAYWATCH paradox.
Okay, let's unpack this because it sounds like a Robert Ludlum novel, the BAYWATCH paradox, but it's actually a socio-technical concept we found in the source material. What does it actually mean?
So we coined this term to describe a very specific, very modern kind of failure mode in digital identity. Think about it this way. Nicole Eggert is Summer Quinn. Her face is known by, what, probably a billion people.
Easily.
In the physical world, if she walks into a bank, the manager knows who she is. She has what we could call cultural verification.
Right, she has this incredible visibility. She's not going to need an ID card to get a table at a restaurant, you know?
Exactly. But here comes the paradox. On a platform like Meta or X or any of these huge tech companies, she has a blue check mark.
Right.
And we, the public, we think that check mark means VIP. We think it means there's some kind of red phone on a desk somewhere at Facebook HQ that rings if her account has a problem.
And what you're saying is that phone does not exist?
Not only does it not exist, but the system is actually designed to ignore her fame. To the content moderation AI, she isn't Summer Quinn. She isn't a person. She's Objecte D249118812.
Just a string of numbers.
The paradox is that she has maximum external cultural visibility, but zero internal algorithmic agency. She's an asset to the platform, generating engagement and ad revenue, but she has the exact same customer support rights as a bot farm in a basement in some other country.
So the algorithm is just structurally blind.
It's blind to cultural context. It doesn't watch TV, it just reads code.
That is genuinely terrifying. You'd think that blue checkmark would act as some kind of shield, but you're saying it's just a badge, it's decoration.
It's a badge that says verified, not protected. When the hack actually happened, the system didn't flag and say, wait a minute, this is Summer Quinn from BAYWATCH. Let's pause this deletion request.
No.
It just processed the command. It was just another line of code to execute.
So we have the icon, who is trapped inside this paradox. Now we need to introduce the other player on the board, the ghost, as the source material calls him, Alberto Daniel Hill.
Alberto is. He's a fascinating figure. The sources describe him as a digital knight. He's based in Montevideo, Uruguay. He's a cybersecurity expert, an author, a podcaster. But his backstory, well, his backstory is the reason he was the only person on Earth who could have handled this situation.
And this is where we get into the login to hell, which isn't just a catchy phrase. It's the title of his memoir, isn't it?
It is. And it refers to this incident back in 2017 that just completely destroyed his life. Alberto found a flaw in a major medical provider system in Uruguay. A very, very simple flaw.
How simple are we talking?
As simple as changing a number in the URL. A URL parameter change that allowed access to 200,000 private patient records.
Wait, hold on a second. He found the flaw. Did he exploit it? Did he leak the data or sell it?
No, absolutely not. He did what we in the industry call responsible disclosure. He acted as a white hat hacker. He went to the company and basically said, hey, your front door is wide open. You should probably lock it before a bad guy finds it.
That sounds like, you know, the right thing to do, the ethical thing to do.
In a sane world, yes, it is. But you have to understand the context of Uruguay in 2017. The digital literacy of the justice system there was, let's be charitable and call it developing.
Okay.
Instead of thanking him for saving them from a massive data breach, the police, who frankly did not understand the technology at all, raided his home.
I read about the raid in the sources. They treated him like a cartel boss or something.
Worse, they raided him like he was a cyber terrorist. They seized everything, hard drives, servers. And here's the detail that really just paints the perfect picture of the situation.
What's that?
They logged a Guy Fawkes mask, you know, the V for Vendetta mask that's associated with Anonymous. They logged it into evidence as hacking paraphernalia.
You are kidding me. They put a Halloween mask in an evidence locker as proof of a high-tech crime.
It just shows you the level of understanding they were working with. They saw a mask and a computer and just assumed criminal mastermind. But the result wasn't funny at all. He spent 8 months in Comcar.
I don't know what Comcar is, but based on your tone, I'm guessing it's not a minimum security facility.
Comcar is one of the most dangerous prisons in South America. And you have to picture Alberto. He's a beak. He's a coder, he's not a street fighter, and suddenly he's locked in a cell with homicide suspects.
That is, I honestly can't even imagine. The trauma of that must be immense.
He lost everything. His partner left him, his life savings were seized, he lost his freedom. He calls it his personal 911 because it was the ground zero of his old life being completely demolished. At one point, he even went into a coma from the stress of it all.
But he survived. He made it through.
He did, and this is the key. This is what makes him the perfect counterweight to the Baywatch paradox. That trauma created what psychologists call post-traumatic growth. He learned a very, very hard lesson.
Which was?
When systems are broken, whether it's the legal system in Uruguay or the customer support system at Meta, you don't ask for permission. You don't file a ticket and wait patiently in line. You hack the bureaucracy.
He became an expert in what he calls scorched earth recovery.
Exactly. He learned that to save something precious, sometimes you have to be willing to burn the rest of the forest down. And that is precisely the kind of energy you need when an indifferent algorithm is trying to delete a cancer survivor's entire medical history.
So we have this scorched earth cybersecurity expert in Uruguay, and we have a BAYWATCH icon in California. In any normal version of reality, these two people never, ever meet. Their orbits just don't cross.
They shouldn't. They really shouldn't. But this is where the story gets, well, I called it synchronicity earlier, but it almost feels like a glitch in the simulation. To understand why Alberto cared enough to launch this insane counteroffensive, we can't start in 2026.
Okay, so where do we start?
We have to go back. We have to go back 30 years to February 16th, 1996.
All right, paint the picture for me. I can practically hear the dial-up modem screeching just thinking about it. The era of flashing under construction GIFs.
The internet is basically a toddler at this point. There's no Google, there's no social media. If you wanted to build a community, if you wanted to find your tribe, you went to GeoCities.
Oh man, GeoCities, the neighborhoods. You had Sunset Strip for music, Silicon Valley for tech.
Precisely. And in Montevideo, Uruguay, there's a 14-year-old Alberto. He's not a hardened security expert yet. He's just a kid with a dial-up modem and a celebrity crush.
Yeah.
He decides he's going to learn HTML. And the subject he chooses for his very first website, Nicole Eggert.
NickyEggert.com.
Hosted on GeoCities. And listen, this wasn't just some little hobby page with 2 visitors a month. It became a top 10 site on GeoCities.
A top 10 site.
It had millions of hits. This kid in South America was running one of the biggest digital shrines to Nicole Eggert in the entire world.
The butterfly effect here is just staggering. A teenager's obsession with coding and BAYWATCH in 1996 creates this digital footprint that it just waits.
It waits for 30 years. Now, fast forward to 2019. Twitter, which is now X. Nicole and Alberto finally connect.
How did that even happen? Was it just a fan message like, hey, I built a site for you 25 years ago?
It was deeper than that. Shared trauma, believe it or not. Nicole had been speaking out about her own horror stories from her time in Hollywood abuse, exploitation. And Alberto had his horror story with the justice system. They bonded over that shared sense of being crushed by these powerful, indifferent systems.
The sources mentioned a statistic about their connection on Twitter that just gave me chills.
The follower count. It's so telling. Nicole has about 40,000 followers on X, but she is extremely selective about who she follows back. She only follows about 292 people.
And Alberto is one of them.
He is one of the 292. The GeoCities prophecy, as the report calls it, is this incredible statistical anomaly. What is the probability that a victim's trusted contact, the one person she follows who just happens to have the exact skill set to save her from digital oblivion, is a forensic expert who built a shrine to her 30 years ago?
It's statistically zero, isn't it? Something like 0.00001%.
It's the universe arranging those dominoes. If he hadn't built that fan site in 96, they never would have connected in 2019. If they hadn't connected in 2019, he wouldn't have been on her radar in 2026. He wouldn't have seen the signal.
Which brings us to 0 hour. February 6th, 2026, the day the attack begins.
And it was a sophisticated attack. The attacker goes by the handle Gulpersacker. They used a Hotmail address, which I know feels oddly retro, but the method was modern and brutal.
They didn't just guess her password or something simple like that?
No. This was a multi-stage attack. They likely used credentials from a previously leaked database to get a starting point, but then they executed a SIM swap.
I want to drill down on this because you hear the term SIM swap a lot these days, but it's still kind of abstract. What is actually happening? Is someone physically stealing her SIM card from her phone?
No, and that's what makes it so insidious. It's a social engineering hack, usually. The hacker calls Nicole's cell phone carrier, pretending to be her. Or maybe they've paid off a corrupt employee at a retail store, which is depressingly common. They say something like, hey, I just got a new iPhone. I lost my old one. Can you please port my number to this new SIM card I have in my hand?
And if the carrier falls for it?
If the customer service rep doesn't follow protocol, they flip a digital switch. Suddenly, Nicole's phone in her pocket goes dead. No signal. It's just a brick. Meanwhile, the hacker's phone, which could be halfway across the world, lights up. It is now, for all intents and purposes, her phone. It receives her calls, her texts.
Which means when they try to log into your Facebook.
Exactly. Facebook does what it's supposed to do. It says, we don't recognize this device. To prove it's you, we're sending a 6-digit security code to your phone number via SMS.
And that code goes straight to the hacker.
Right in their hands. So the two-factor authentication, the very thing we're all told is the gold standard of security, it actually became the key that let the hacker in the door, because the second factor relied on a phone number that had been compromised.
Unbelievable. So they're in. And once they were in, they didn't just change her profile picture or post spam.
No, they went for the kill switch. They initiated a 30-day permanent deletion.
The countdown, the cancer diaries start ticking away second by second toward oblivion.
And this is where the AI fails so spectacularly. Meta is a trillion-dollar company. They have some of the most advanced, expensive security systems on the planet, but they didn't flag this anomaly.
It seems like such an obvious red flag.
To a human, it is. A verified blue-check account suddenly changes its recovery email to a random Hotmail address, logs in from a completely new device, maybe a different country, and immediately hits delete account. To a person, that's a 5-alarm fire. To the algorithm, it was just a valid sequence of events.
So the algorithm is just asleep at the wheel. Nicole is locked out. She's trapped in that horrible login loop we've all seen where you try to reset your password, but the reset link gets sent to the hacker's new email address.
She's completely helpless. She's panic posting on X, on Twitter, begging people to report her Facebook account. But reporting takes time. The internal gears of the platform grind slowly, and the clock is ticking.
And this is it. This is the moment. Enter the mom protocol.
I love this part of the story so much. The most advanced threat detection system in the world, in this case, isn't a sophisticated AI. It is Alberto's mother, Mama Cell 2.
What was she doing? Just scrolling through her feed?
She is a true fan. She lives in Uruguay, and she checks Nicole's Facebook page every single day. It's just part of her daily routine, like having her morning coffee.
That is some real dedication.
It's vigilance. And on that day at 1 p.m., she logs on, and she sees a distress post. It was a message Nicole must have managed to post right as she was losing control. This account has been hacked.
And what does mom do? Does she just hit the sad react button and move on?
No. She doesn't just scroll past. She takes a screenshot and immediately sends a WhatsApp message to her son, Alberto.
Now, I have to be honest. If my mom forwards me a WhatsApp message, half the time I don't even open it.
Alberto admits in the source material that he usually ignores them. You know how it is. It's usually chain letters or blurry good morning GIFs with flowers on them.
Yeah.
But he said, this time, duty called. He opened it.
And he saw the distress signal.
The human element. A mom in Uruguay detected what the multi-billion-dollar algorithm completely missed. That is the only reason this entire rescue operation started in time.
So Alberto gets the message. He immediately checks X. He sees Nicole is spiraling, asking for help. And he knows instantly that standard customer support is a dead end.
He knows from his own traumatic experience that if you play by their rules, you lose. He tries to contact Meta support through the official channels, but it's the usual wall of automated silence. So he initiates what he calls a Scorched Earth counteroffensive.
The tricontinental pincer strategy. This sounds like something out of a military textbook.
It effectively is. It's information warfare. The entire goal was to attack Meta from 3 different legal jurisdictions simultaneously. He needed to create so much legal noise, so much potential liability, that an actual human being at Meta would be forced to look at the screen.
Okay, so let's break down the 3 prongs of the pincer. Prong 1, California.
The home turf. He files a complaint with the California Attorney General, but, and this is key, he doesn't frame the problem as, my friend lost her password. He frames it as active wire fraud and identity theft.
Because the hackers weren't just deleting photos and memories.
Exactly. The sources show they were already applying for credit cards in her name. They were actively using her identity to commit financial crimes. By framing it as active fraud, he triggers a whole different set of consumer protection laws that are much stricter and have sharper teeth than just a simple terms of service violation.
That's smart. Okay, so that's prong 1. Prong 2, Uruguay.
This is where he leverages his own network. Remember, he's the digital knight who was wrongfully imprisoned. In the years since, he's become a well-respected consultant. He knows the system. He goes straight to the Ministry of Interior's cybercrime unit.
And he files a criminal investigation there?
Yes. He claims that his network, because he is a trusted agent of Nicole, they have a professional relationship, has been compromised. It legitimizes the investigation from a law enforcement angle in South America, adding another layer of official pressure.
But prong three is the nuclear option.
Prong 3 is just. It's genius. It involves Italy and the European Union.
Okay, wait. Nicole is American. Alberto is Uruguayan. How on earth does Italy get involved in this?
But Alberto holds Italian citizenship through his family. He's an EU citizen, and under the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, EU citizens have massive, powerful rights regarding their personal data.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
He claims that his private communications with Nicole, their direct messages, their chat history on Facebook, are his data. And by allowing a hacker to access that data, Meta is compromising the personal data of an EU citizen.
Which is a violation of GDPR Article 33.
Precisely. Failure to properly address and notify a personal data breach.
But why would a massive Silicon Valley company care about one Italian guy's DMs? It seems like a drop in the ocean.
Because the penalty for violating GDPR isn't a flat fine. It's not a slap on the wrist like a speeding ticket. It's a percentage of revenue. Specifically, up to 4% of a company's global annual revenue.
Wait, you said 4% of Meta's global revenue. That's not millions, that's billions.
Billions with a B, and that's the whole point. A customer support ticket costs Meta $0 to ignore. A potential GDPR violation could cost them billions. By invoking his Italian citizenship, Alberto instantly moved Nicole's case from the customer support queue, which is run by bots, to the legal and compliance queue, which is run by very, very expensive lawyers.
That is the scorched earth he was talking about. He wasn't just asking for help. He was threatening their bottom line in a language they couldn't ignore.
It's all about leverage. Pure and simple. He turned a forgotten support ticket into a multi-billion-dollar corporate risk assessment.
But he didn't stop there with just the legal threats. The internet itself got involved. This is where we get into the Gray Hat Alliance.
Yeah, we have to talk about Esther G. This is an activist group that's associated with Anonymous and Antisec. They saw Alberto's bat signal going up on X, and they decided to join the hunt.
And what did they find?
They went hunting for Dulpersacker. They found him, or at least they found his digital trail. They tracked his breadcrumbs all over the internet. They found his Microsoft gaming UIDs.
His gamer tags.
His unique identifiers. They found payment logs for Chaos Boot services, which are basically rent-a-hacker tools you can use to launch DDoS attacks.
And they found his gaming identities, too.
Yep. Minecraft and Roblox.
Minecraft and Roblox. That suggests something, doesn't it?
It suggests the attacker might not be some state-sponsored spy from a foreign government. It's just a young person, maybe a kid. Someone doing this for the lulz, for the notoriety, or for some quick cash. But in a way, that makes him even more volatile and unpredictable.
So this group, SRGG, they find this kid, and they want to do what they do best, right?
They want to dox him. They want to release his real name, his address, his family's information, everything, to the public.
Vigilante justice.
Absolute vigilante justice. But Alberto intervenes. And this, to me, shows his maturity as a strategist. He negotiates a grace period with them.
He tells the internet mob to stand down.
He tells them, hold fire. And then he turns around and uses them as a weapon against Meta. He sends another legal notice saying, essentially, I'm holding the mob back with everything I have. You have X hours to restore this account. If you don't fix this, I will stop containing them, and this hacker's personal info gets released, exposing your complete negligence for the entire world to see.
So he's playing both sides. He's acting as the diplomat between the corporate lawyers at Meta and the internet vigilantes.
It's an incredibly high-stakes negotiation. He's balancing restorative justice versus vigilante justice. His primary goal was getting the account back. He didn't necessarily want to ruin some kid's life if he didn't have to, but he was absolutely willing to let it happen if Meta didn't act.
We have some of the emails he sent. The final notice.
And the tone of these emails is just a masterclass in psychological operations. It's not pleading, it's not angry, it's authoritative.
He writes directly to the hacker, too.
He does. Through the compromise email, he writes, I am not here to judge. I am offering a quick, clean exit. He tells the hacker, the risks now officially outweigh the rewards.
He's giving the hacker a way out, an off-ramp.
He's treating the hacker like a rational actor, not a monster. He's basically saying, look, kid, you're playing Minecraft. We have your gaming UUIDs. We have the EU legal system involved. Is this really worth it for one Facebook account?
And at the same time, to Meta, he says, stop the timer immediately.
And he hits them with another legal threat. He accuses them of spoliation of evidence,
Which means?
destroying evidence. He argues that because there is now an active criminal investigation in Uruguay and a fraud complaint in California, deleting the account would be actively destroying evidence related to multiple crimes. That forces Meta's legal hand. They cannot be seen to be deleting evidence of a crime.
So the pressure just keeps cooking. You have the California fraud claim, the Uruguayan criminal probe, the Italian GDPR threat, which is worth billions, and this anonymous-style mob just waiting in the wings to strike.
It was a siege from every possible angle, and eventually, Meta blinked.
The resolution, the convergence, as the intro called it, is finally complete.
Yes, between February 9th and the 12th, the updates start coming in. The account is frozen. The deletion timer is stopped. The cancer diaries are pulled back from the edge of the digital incinerator.
It actually worked.
It worked. The pincer strategy, the MOM protocol, the GeoCities connection, all those dominoes falling in perfect sequence, it all worked.
There's a quote that Alberto sent to Nicole during this whole ordeal that I think just sums up the entire situation perfectly. I have it here. He wrote to her, "If you want to survive the AI apocalypse, don't rely on customer support. Make friends with a hacker. Because when Gulpersacker comes for you, the algorithm won't care. But the guy you DM'd in 2019 might just burn the world down to get your photos back."
And that's the lesson right there, isn't it? The BAYWATCH paradox proves that even global fame cannot protect you from algorithmic indifference. Meta did not care that she was Summer Quinn.
But the GeoCities prophecy proves that human connection is the only true failsafe.
Exactly. When all the automated systems failed, the relationships held. A fan from 1996. A mom checking a page in 2026. A friend who bonded over shared trauma in 2019. That web of humanity is what saved the data.
It really makes you think about our own digital lives, doesn't it?
It really does. We're all so fragile online. Our memories, our medical histories, our conversations with loved ones, they're all just rented space on a server that doesn't know our name.
And if that server, that algorithm, decides to hit delete,
You better hope you have a trusted agent in your corner.
it is just absolute insanity to think about the timeline here when you lay it all out. A GeoCities fan site in 1996 leads to a wrongful imprisonment in 2017, which builds the exact skill set needed for a rescue in 2026 that was initiated by a mom in Uruguay.
It's the ultimate victory of chaos over the algorithm. At least in this one very specific case, the unpredictable, messy, beautiful human element actually won.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. If your digital life was suddenly deleted tomorrow, if your diaries started that 30-day countdown, who is your Alberto? Do you have a trusted agent? Or are you just another user ID waiting to be purged?
That is the question we all need to start asking ourselves.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Stay safe out there and maybe follow a few more hackers. Imagine a face that for, I don't know, the better part of a decade was just broadcast into millions of living rooms all across the globe.
We're talking peak 90s global saturation.
Exactly. The kind of fame that just cuts through language barriers. Could be in Tokyo, Toronto, Tupelo, wherever, and people would recognize this face instantly.
It's a face that should, by all rights, open any door in the world.
You would think so. Now imagine that same person with that same globally recognized face sitting in front of a computer screen.
Okay.
She's just trying to log into your own social media account. And the machine on the other end, the algorithm, it looks at her, it processes the request, and it effectively says, "Sorry, I have no idea who you are. Access denied."
It's the ultimate computer says no moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in this case, the computer isn't just saying no.
No.
It's starting a countdown. It's initiating a destruction sequence.
It's a terrifying, almost perfect irony. And today, we are diving deep into a story that it captures this glitch in our modern matrix so perfectly. We're calling it the BAYWATCH paradox.
I like that.
We are breaking down the hacking of Nicole Eggert, and yes, that Nicole Eggert from BAYWATCH, and the incredibly complex, high-stakes rescue mission that was launched to save her digital life.
And rescue mission is exactly the right term. I think, people hear celebrity hack and they just roll their eyes.
Right. Oh no, she lost a few followers.
Exactly. She lost her blue check mark. What a tragedy. But we have a stack of sources here. I'm talking forensic reports, full email transcripts, legal threats. This was a genuine digital hostage situation.
The stakes were incredibly high.
We're not just talking about some vanity metrics or old vacation photos. We are talking about medical records. We are talking about international law. And we are talking about a strategy, a scorched earth strategy that makes standard IT support look like, I don't know, a lemonade stand.
And at the center of this whole storm is this character who calls himself a digital knight.
Right.
His name is Alberto Daniel Hill. And let me just say, this guy's not your average, corporate help desk employee.
Not even close. I mean, the file on this guy, Hill is a Uruguayan cybersecurity expert, but his profile reads like something out of a cyberpunk novel.
It really does.
He's got a master's degree in digital currencies. He has a laundry list of certifications, CSX, CEH, PMP, you name it. But he also has a criminal record.
Right. Those sources all mention that. He was the first hacker ever imprisoned in Uruguay for a computer crime, a case called Operation Bitcoins.
And that detail, that piece of context, is absolutely critical for understanding this entire deep dive, because Hill maintains his innocence in that case, but the experience, the trauma of being locked up, of having his life just dismantled by a judicial system that didn't understand technology, it changed him.
The sources use a very specific phrase, post-traumatic growth.
Yeah, which is a fascinating concept, the idea that you emerge from trauma not just damaged, but different. Stronger, maybe. Sharper, exactly. He has an IQ that's estimated somewhere in the 130, 140 range, but more importantly, he has this deep, almost pathological distrust of automated bureaucracy. He sees the system not as a safety net, but as a predator. So when he saw Nicole Eggert getting crushed by Meta's automated systems, he didn't just see some user having a bad day. He saw the machine winning again, and he decided to go to war.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're not just going to recount the events chronologically. We're going to analyze this strategy. We're going to put a microscope on the specific differences between how, say, a normal user handles a hack.
Or even an average InfoSec pro.
Right. How they handle it versus how Alberto Daniel Hill handles it.
We're going to break down every single email, every legal maneuver, every psychological operation he deployed between February 6th and February 13th, 2026.
Okay, so let's start with those stakes. Why did this matter so much? Why couldn't she just, make a new account and move on?
Well, according to the main source doc, this Facebook takeover analysis, this account was basically a repository for her life. Specifically, it contained her stage 2 breast cancer diary.
Yeah, that stopped me in my tracks when I first read it.
It's a 7-year narrative. I mean, think about that. 7 years. It detailed her diagnosis, her treatments, her survival. It had medical records, private emotional entries, years of interactions with a community of other survivors. It was her history.
It's part of her.
And the hackers, they didn't just lock the door, they set the building on fire.
They initiated the permanent deletion sequence.
A 30-day countdown timer. If that clock ran out, the diary, the medical history, the memories, all of it would be spoliated. That's the technical term. Deleted. Forever.
And that takes us right back to the BAYWATCH paradox. You have a celebrity whose face is known by literally millions, but she cannot prove her own identity to a machine to save her own medical history.
That is the paradox of the algorithmic age in a nutshell. The system is optimized to reject anomalies.
Right.
A celebrity account suddenly behaving strangely, logging in from a new device, changing key details. That looks like a security threat to the AI. So the AI does its job, it locks it down to protect it.
But then to unlock it, you have to prove who you are, which for her, of all people, should be easy.
You'd think, wouldn't you? But the hacker had already changed the recovery email and the phone number on the account. So the automated recovery system just says, okay, no problem, we'll send a code to the phone number on file. But the phone number on file now belongs to the hacker.
It's a perfect closed loop. A digital catch-22.
You're locked out by the very security measures that were designed to keep you safe.
Enter the protagonist. How does Alberto Daniel Hill even get involved in this? Did she have him on speed dial?
This is one of the most interesting parts because it really highlights the difference between, let's say, technical detection and human detection. Hill didn't find out from a server log or some security alert. He found out through his mother.
His mom.
Seriously.
Seriously. On the morning of February 6, 2026, Hill's mother sends him a WhatsApp message. Now, the sources note that Hill, like most IT professionals, he usually ignores the tech support from family messages.
We've all been there. The printer's not working. Is this email a virus?
Mom, just restart it. Exactly. But for whatever reason, he opens this one. And his mom follows Nicole Eggert on Facebook. And she'd noticed the account was posting all this bizarre stuff.
The usual crypto scams.
Crypto scams, please for money, the classic I'm stranded in London and lost my wallet type of thing.
So his mom was the intrusion detection system. the human IDS.
She was the IDS. So Hill checks the account himself. He sees the help me posts, and he realizes, okay, this is a genuine compromise. Now, here's the first strategic divergence. What does a normal fan do in this situation?
They'd probably leave a comment, right? You've been hacked.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'd send a DM to the account.
Right, and what does the hacker who now controls the account do with that comment or that DM? Deletes it.
Well,
Or just laughs at it.
exactly. It's completely useless. Hill knows this. He knows he needs to reach Eggert directly, but he also needs to establish trust, like immediately. He has to verify the situation and establish a chain of custody for her identity.
But how does he do that if he doesn't have her number?
He digs into his own data, his own history. He goes back and finds some old messenger chats from years prior. The sources say back in 2019 where he and Eggert had briefly interacted about something.
So they weren't like best friends, but they had a connection, a documented one.
They were connected nodes on Meta's own social graph. And this is his trusted agent theory in action. In the eyes of Meta's data, Hill and Eggert have a pre-existing relationship.
That's smart. It proves he isn't some random third-party opportunist trying to get involved.
Precisely. So he uses this connection and probably some other open source intelligence methods to find her actual personal email. And he reaches out.
And I bet his opening move isn't just, hi, I can help.
No. His email is direct. It's, can you contact me? I'll do anything in my hands to get your account back. But he immediately pivots to strategy. He tells her in that first contact to stop thinking like a victim and start thinking like a liability.
He starts coaching her on how to talk to Meta's support system.
This part is just fascinating to me. He gives her two very specific instructions for filling out the support ticket. First, he says, you have to mention celebrity high profile in the ticket.
Why? Does that little trick actually work?
Hill's theory is that it triggers an adrenaline rush in the low-level support agent who sees it. It plays on their ego. It signals, hey, this isn't a normal ticket. This is a story I can tell my friends later.
It makes it interesting for them.
But the second instruction is the real technical payload. He tells her to specifically mention that the account is set to be deleted.
Set to be deleted. Why those exact words?
Because it's a keyword. It forces a potential suspension of the timer. If you just say, I'm hacked, you go into the general compromised account queue, which is a black hole of millions of other tickets.
A digital slush pile.
Exactly. But if you say data deletion, you might trigger a completely different workflow, a data retention or legal risk workflow. He is trying, from the very first move, to move her ticket from the customer service bucket into the legal liability bucket.
He's trying to bypass the AI filters and get to a human decision maker.
The special operations queue, as he calls it. He's trying to hack the bureaucracy. But even with that clever advice, the front door was completely nailed shut.
Which brings us to part 2 of this saga, the blockade. Because usually when we talk about hacking, it's about breaking into a system's code. But here the challenge was breaking into the company just to help them.
Right. So Hill tries to escalate the issue himself. He knows the standard support forms are a waste of time, so he goes for the secret email addresses.
The ones the pros use.
Legal@meta.com, escalations@cases.meta.com. These are the addresses that InfoSec professionals trade on forums thinking they're a backdoor.
And what happens when he uses them?
Rejection. Immediate, automated, hard rejection. The sources list the specific error codes, and they're very telling. Error 550.5.7.134.
Okay, can you translate that for the non-geeks in the audience?
It basically means sender not authenticated. Or another one, error 550.5.1.1, domain not available. What this means is that Meta's own mail servers are configured to automatically reject external emails that aren't on a specific pre-approved allow list. You can't just email their legal department.
That is just wild. So you're trying to report a crime, you're trying to serve them a legal notice about a massive data breach on their platform, and their own server just spits it back at you because you're not on the list.
It's a digital fortress. And the internal status of Eggert's request, despite all the forensic evidence Hill was trying to attach, remained ignored unsolved.
Okay, let's pause here and do that comparison. A normal InfoSec pro hits this wall. What's their next move?
Their next move is to wait. They'd say, well, we filed the ticket, we emailed the escalation address, our hands are tied. Now we wait 48 to 72 hours. We have to trust the process.
They see the process as a straight line you have to follow.
And Hill sees the process as a maze that needs to be blown up. He knows that clock is ticking on those cancer records. He knows that waiting is just another word for losing.
So he has to pivot.
He has to pivot hard. He realizes he can't hack Meta technically, that's illegal, and frankly, it's impossible for one person against $1 trillion infrastructure. So he decides to hack their legal vulnerability instead.
And this is what the outline calls weaponizing jurisdiction.
This is, I think, the single smartest move in the entire story. Hill holds dual citizenship. He's Uruguayan, yes, but he's also an Italian citizen.
Which makes him a citizen of the European Union.
And that changes the entire game board. He pivots his entire identity in this conflict. He stops acting as a Uruguayan consultant who has very little legal leverage over a U.S. company, and he starts acting as an Italian EU data subject.
He puts on his EU hat.
And by doing that, he activates the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation.
We hear about GDPR all the time, but break it down for us. Why is it such a powerful weapon in this specific case?
Because it has teeth. Very, very sharp teeth. So Hill drafts a formal notice invoking GDPR Article 33. This article specifically mandates that data controllers, that's Meta in this case, must notify the supervisory authority of a personal data breach within 72 hours.
And he's not just sending this into the same black hole as before, is he?
No. This is the Italian job maneuver. He sends the notice to Meta, but he copies the Garante per la Protezione dei Dati Personali.
Which is?
That's the official Italian data protection authority. And just to, add a little extra spice, he also copies the Polizia Postale.
The Italian Postal Police, what do they have to do with this?
It sounds funny, but they're Italy's national cybercrime unit. So he has effectively called the cops, but not the local sheriff. He's called the federal regulators of a sovereign nation inside the European Union.
So what's the threat here? What is he actually hanging over Meta's head?
Money. A catastrophic amount of money. Under GDPR, failure to address a breach, especially one that involves what they call sensitive category data. And remember, a cancer diary is about as sensitive as it gets.
Right.
The fines can be up to 4% of global annual revenue.
4% of Meta's global revenue. We're talking billions of dollars?
That's why he calls it the $5 billion button. Hill looked at this whole situation and realized, I can't make them care about Nicole Eggert. That's not working. But I can make them care about their stock price.
He turned a $0 customer support ticket into a potential multi-billion-dollar liability event.
That is the very definition of asymmetric warfare. He's one guy with a laptop and Montevideo, and he is holding a $1 trillion company hostage with a single PDF.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's essentially him saying, you can ignore me, you can ignore this celebrity, but you cannot ignore the Italian government knocking on your door.
So he's launched the bomb, as he calls it. But he doesn't stop there. He decides to go full Scorched Earth.
And this brings us to part 3, the communication protocol. We have the full transcript of the ultimatum email he sent on February 9th. And if you read this thing, it is not polite. It is not, dear sir or madam, I wish to inform you.
But let's break it down. Section 1 is just credentials and authority. He basically lists his entire resume.
He lists everything: CSX, CEH, PMP, his master's degree. He even references his appearance on the Darknet Diaries podcast, a specific episode, episode 25. He mentions his presentation at the Chaos Communication Congress 35C3.
Why is he doing that? Is he just bragging?
No, it's a power move. He is establishing peer authority. He is communicating directly with the Chief Information Security Officer of Meta, and he's saying, I am not a user. I am not a confused fan. I am a certified information systems security professional. I am in the top 0.1% of cognitive processing in this field. He is demanding to be treated as an equal.
Or even a superior. He's trying to intimidate the intimidators.
Exactly. And then after establishing his own credibility, he drops the bluff. Or, maybe it wasn't a bluff, the anonymous variable.
This part reads like it's straight out of a movie script. He claims that the hacktivist collective, SRG, has identified the hacker.
And SRG is linked to the old anti-sec and anonymous movements, so it carries weight. Hill tells Meta, flat out, we know who did this. And he provides these incredibly specific technical breadcrumbs of evidence. He claims he has the hackers' Microsoft Gaming UIDs. He says he has payment logs for Chaos boot services.
Oh, the Chaos boot services.
They're basically DDoS for hire services. You pay a few bucks in crypto and they'll knock a gamer or a website offline for a while. It's a tool commonly used by script kiddies and low-level hackers.
Okay.
And he also mentions cross-referencing the hacker's identity on Roblox and Minecraft.
Roblox and Minecraft. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but that's actually where a lot of this online crime starts, right?
It is, and it profiles the attacker perfectly. Hill's as painting a picture for Meta. He's saying, this isn't some state-sponsored Russian attack group. This is a kid, a teenager probably, And I have all of his digital fingerprints.
But then comes the twist.
Then comes the twist. He tells Meta, and I personally intervened to stop S-Surge from doxing the hacker and publicly exposing Meta's negligence.
He's playing the good cop in a scenario he created.
It's beautiful. He says, I am holding back the community. I have bought you a grace period, but, and this is the threat, I cannot hold them back indefinitely.
That is just so masterfully manipulative. He's framing it as, I'm the only reasonable person here. You better work with me before the mob shows up at your door with torches and pitchforks.
He's creating this sense of imminent chaos. He's putting Meta in a vice. On one side, you've got the Italian government and their regulators. On the other, you've got the anonymous hackers ready to leak everything. And right in the middle is Alberto Daniel Hill, offering them the only clean way out.
And just to twist the knife a little bit more, he brings up spoliation of evidence.
That's the legal kill shot. Spoliation is a very specific legal term. It means the intentional or negligent destruction of evidence that might be relevant in future litigation.
So by allowing that 30-day deletion timer to keep ticking down on the cancer diary,
he's arguing that Meta is actively destroying evidence of a crime that happened on its platform. He's framing them as accomplices.
he literally writes, you are protecting a verified cybercriminal while blocking a certified industry expert.
That is such a damaging narrative. If that sentence ever gets read in a courtroom, Meta looks either catastrophically incompetent or actively malicious. Either way, they lose.
So he has them completely surrounded. But there's still one more front in this war. He isn't just fighting Meta, he's also fighting the hacker himself.
Right, part 4, the psychological operations against the attacker. This is where you really see the difference between a tech response and a human response. A tech response is to try to change the password. A human response is to talk to the guy who stole it.
Hill identifies the hacker's email address. It's gulpersacker@hotmail.com.
Gulpersacker. I mean, it even sounds like a throwaway gaming handle, doesn't it?
It does. And Hill sends a direct email to this address on February 8th. Now, if someone hacked me, my first instinct would be to send an email just screaming in all caps, "Give it back, you thief!"
Which is exactly what the hacker wants. They thrive on that reaction. They want the chaos, the lulz, as they call it. But Hatil does the exact opposite. The tone of his email is, it's calm, it's professional, it's almost helpful.
I'm looking at the transcript. He writes, I am offering a perspective on what I consider a quick, clean exit.
He treats it like a business negotiation. He lays out the leverage he has. He says basically, look, I have already involved international police in Italy, Uruguay, and the US. This is no longer just a hacked Facebook page. This is now a complex international financial crime investigation.
He's making the hacker realize just how far in over their head they are.
He's creating a sense of creeping dread. He's telling the hacker, you thought you were hunting rabbits, but you just stepped into a lion's den. But then, and this is absolutely key, he offers him what's called a golden bridge.
The Golden Bridge.
It's a concept from Sun's Art of War. You always leave your enemy a path to retreat. If you trap them completely, they'll fight to the death. So Hill writes, if you step away now, I have no intention of pursuing you.
Just walk away, and this all disappears.
Just walk away and I won't personally destroy you. And the verification method he proposes is just pure genius. He doesn't ask the hacker to reply to the email. Why not?
Because a reply is a digital footprint. It's evidence.
It's an admission. It's something that could be used against them in court. So instead, what does he do?
He asked the hacker to, 6 consecutive tweets on Hill's public X, Twitter timeline.
Like smoke signals.
Exactly.
It's a covert channel. It's a deniable action. It allows the hacker to signal their surrender without creating a single piece of evidence. It protects the hacker's ego and their legal safety while giving Hill the confirmation he needs that the hacker is standing down.
So he's effectively de-escalating the situation with the person who caused it. The hacker's probably so terrified at this point that they stop fighting the recovery process because they just want out.
Exactly. Hill neutralized the active threat without firing a single digital shot.
So let's review the chessboard. The hacker has been spooked into standing down. Meta is facing a multi-billion-dollar GDPR audit from Italy, a potential PR nightmare from Anonymous, and a spoliation of evidence lawsuit. It's now February 13th, 2026. This is the breakthrough.
Or, as the documents call it, the silent fix.
Hill sends a simple email to Eggert, and he just asks, did you try to call me via FB 2 hours ago?
She checks her account, and suddenly she's back in. It works. The account is restored. The recovery email Gulpersacker has been reverted back to Nicole Eggert. The deletion timer is gone. Everything is back to normal.
But there was no email from Meta. No, we're so sorry for the inconvenience. Here's a credit for the ad store.
Nothing. Absolute radio silence.
Why? Why so quiet after all that?
Liability. It's always about liability. If Meta sends an apology email, they're creating a written record admitting that their system failed. They are admitting fault.
And if they admit fault?
That Italian GDPR fine becomes much, much more likely. It's Exhibit A for the prosecution. They can't risk it.
So they just quietly fix it in the background and hope he goes away.
Hill's analysis of what happened is that the Irish Data Protection Commission, the DPC, which handles GDPR enforcement for Meta in Europe, almost certainly got the notice from their Italian counterparts.
The red phone rang in Dublin.
The red phone rang, and the DPO, the data protection officer at Meta, probably looked at the threat assessment, the Italian police, the 4% global revenue fine, and said, just fix it, now. Order a special operations override, get a human to do it manually, make this go away before we have to open our books for an audit.
They didn't fix it because it was the right thing to do for their user. They fixed it because Hill made it too expensive not to.
That is the cynical but probably true reality of the $5 billion button. He doesn't appeal to their empathy. He hacked their risk assessment model.
So what's the aftermath? Eggert gets her diary back. The medical records are saved.
Yes, and she posts publicly thanking Hill. She uses the hashtags #hacker and #Uruguay. That's the public social validation. But I love Hill's reaction to this. He asks her to post a very specific quote.
I have it right here. He asks her to post, "If you want to survive the AI apocalypse, don't rely on customer support. Make friends with a hacker. The guy you DM'd in 2019 might just burn the world down to get your photos back."
Burn the world down. That phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
It feels intensely personal to him.
It is. This is what the sources call his Phoenix Protocol. You have to remember, Hill lost everything back in 2017. He went to prison, he lost his reputation, his business, he had to rebuild himself from absolute ashes. So when he takes on a case like this, he isn't just doing a job. He's fighting a proxy war against the same kind of faceless bureaucratic system that crushed him.
He sees every access denied screen as a personal insult.
Exactly. For him, digital death, the deletion of your history, your identity, is real death because he's been there. So when he fights for Eggert, he fights with the intensity of a man who knows what it's like to be erased.
Okay, let's move to the final part of this, the comparative analysis. The so what? We've told this incredible story, but let's distill the lessons. What is the fundamental difference between Hill's strategy and the rest of the cybersecurity industry?
The average InfoSec pro, and even most companies, they rely on what we'd call symmetrical defenses.
Meaning?
Technical controls, two-factor authentication, strong passwords, password managers, ticketing systems. They follow the rules that the platform has laid out for them.
They play the game by the rules that are given.
And Hill's core insight is that the game is rigged, so he refuses to play. He engages in asymmetric warfare. He relies on human intelligence, humanity, and regulatory arbitrage.
Regulatory arbitrage, that's the fancy term for the Italian job.
Yes. It means using the differences in laws between different jurisdictions to create leverage. He didn't fix the code. He hacked the liability model. He realized that a U.S. company might feel comfortable ignoring a U.S. user, but they absolutely cannot ignore an EU regulator.
And what about the social proximity aspect?
That's the trusted agent piece we talked about at the beginning, and it's so crucial. When the AI fails to verify your identity with a passport or a driver's license, social proof is the only fallback. Hill used his documented history with Eggert inside Meta's own system to bridge that identity gap. He proved that in this AI world, sometimes your network is your identity.
And I want to circle back to the Uruguay connection. It wasn't just Italy he leveraged.
No, absolutely not. He used the Uruguayan cybercrime unit to file a formal police complaint. This is a really important step because it creates a valid crime scene. A lot of times, big tech companies will try to dismiss hacks as civil disputes. Oh, she probably just gave her boyfriend the password and now they're fighting.
But by filing an official police report in Uruguay,
he created an official government document stating that a crime had occurred. It generates a paper trail that Meta's legal team can't just ignore or delete. It creates what he calls legal debt.
This all brings us back to the BAYWATCH paradox and what it means for the rest of us. We are moving faster and faster into a world where everything is automated.
We are. And look, for 99% of people, 99% of the time, that's fine. The AI works. The automated system resets your password. But for the edge cases, the celebrities, the complex fraud victims, the people with stalkers, the people with cancer diaries, the AI fails.
And when it fails, it doesn't just fail softly, it traps you.
It locks the door and it swallows the key. And because there are no humans left in the loop, there's no one there to hear you screaming.
So the provocative thought to end on here is, do we all need a digital knight on retainer?
That really is the question, isn't it? As we move into this world of fully AI-driven bureaucracy, we might be seeing what some people call the GeoCities prophecy come true.
The GeoCities prophecy.
It's this idea that our digital history is fundamentally ephemeral, destined to be deleted unless we actively fight for it. Think about GeoCities, MySpace, all that data, all those memories, just gone.
Vanished.
And if a BAYWATCH star someone with money, fame, and a globally verified face can't save her own data without an elite hacker invoking Italian law, what chance does a normal person have?
Right. If I get hacked tomorrow, I can't call the Italian postal police. I don't have a master's in digital currencies to write a threatening email.
Which is a terrifying thought. It suggests that maybe in the future, personal cybersecurity retainers will become as common as having car insurance. Or maybe we need human-in-the-loop laws that force these massive companies to provide a clear human escalation path for critical data loss situations.
Because Hill's victory, when you boil it all down, wasn't technical. It was a victory of persistence and narrative.
That's it. He forced a human being at Meta to actually look at the screen. That was the hack. The exploit wasn't in the code. It was in the human attention span. He screamed, "Fire!" in a crowded theater, but he did it in perfect Italian legalese, so the ushers had to listen.
It really makes you think about the concept of ownership. We think we own our photos, our diaries, our online accounts.
But we don't, do we? We're just renting space on a server farm in Oregon. And the landlord is a robot. In the digital world, possession is determined by who holds the encryption keys and who controls the recovery workflow. Alberto Daniel Hill proved that you can wrestle that control back, but only if you're willing to threaten to burn the entire village down just to save your house.
Scorched Earth. It's a terrifying strategy, but in this specific case, it was the only one that worked.
It saved the diary. It saved her history.
Well, I'm definitely going to go double-check all my recovery codes after this. And maybe I'll look into getting Italian citizenship, just in case.
It couldn't hurt. And hey, don't delete your old messenger chats. You never know when a random DM from 2019 might be the only thing that proves you exist.
Incredible. This has been the deep dive into the Nicole Eggert hack and the wild, asymmetric strategy of Alberto Daniel Hill. Stay safe out there and keep your digital knights close.
And your recovery code's closer.
It's early morning, Friday, February 6th, 2026. And it's that kind of morning where, the coffee hasn't quite hit yet. You roll over, you grab your phone, and the screen just kind of blinds you for a second.
Yeah, that blue light.
Exactly. And you see a WhatsApp message. It's not from work. It's not spam. It's from your mom.
Okay, for most people, that's, what, a good morning gif or a reminder about dinner on Sunday.
Right. But the person we're talking about today is Alberto Daniel Hill.
Yeah.
And when he gets a message from Mama Cell, it's not about Sunday dinner. He doesn't just swipe it away.
No, because Mama Cell isn't just, checking in. She is, in a way, the first node in this incredible response network.
The eyes and ears.
Absolutely. She's a huge fan of 90s pop culture, and she checks Facebook religiously. And on this particular morning, she saw a distress signal.
Not a cat video.
Not a cat video. She sounded the alarm on what was, for all intents and purposes, a digital hostage situation. And the hostage was one of the most recognizable faces of the 90s.
We are talking about Nicole Eggert. At Nicole Eggert on socials. Star of BAYWATCH, Charles in Charge. I mean, if you grew up in that era, she was just everywhere.
An icon, for sure. But the Nicole Eggert of 2026 isn't just, running in slow motion on a beach. She's a cancer survivor.
And that's a critical piece of this story. She was diagnosed with stage 2 carcinoma back in 2024.
Right. And so when Mama Cell looked at Nicole's Facebook page that morning, it wasn't just a glitch she saw, it was something deeply wrong. Nicole was locked out of her own account.
Pleading for help.
Pleading for help, and her account, her entire digital life, was actively being deleted.
Wow.
And that's where this whole story just shifts gears. It goes from celebrity gossip to a full-blown cyber noir thriller.
Because we're not just talking about losing a blue check mark or some followers.
No, we're talking about the potential erasure of a person's medical history. We're talking about a hacker who didn't just steal a password. This person initiated a permanent deletion timer,
A countdown.
a 30-day countdown to total irreversible oblivion.
So today, on the deep dive, we're going to tell this story the way it deserves to be told. We're going to try and channel a bit of that Darknet Diaries energy. Big shout out to Jack Rhysider, of course.
Yeah, this story definitely has that feel.
We're going to break down this incredible strategy they use, the tricontinental pincer. We're going to profile the digital knight, Alberto Daniel Hill.
And we are going to introduce you to a ghost in the machine, an entity known only as SRG.
It's a story about the complete and utter failure of big tech's automated systems.
And the power of really old-school hacktivism, combined with some incredibly clever legal maneuvering. It's about how a Uruguayan cryptographer ended up using a European legal loophole to try and save an American actress.
It is wild.
It is wild, and it is happening right now as we speak.
So let's start with the man at the center of this, Alberto Daniel Hill. If you're a regular listener to shows in this space, that name probably rings a bell.
Oh, it should. He was the subject of Darknet Diaries, episode 25. And you really can't understand why he would drop everything for this without understanding his backstory.
You have to understand what happened to him.
Exactly. You cannot understand the digital knight without first understanding the login to hell.
That's what he calls it, right? The prison he was sent to.
That's what he calls it. So for context, Alberto is a Uruguayan cybersecurity expert, a writer, a cryptographer. But he also holds this really dark distinction. He was the very first hacker ever to be imprisoned in Uruguay.
And the injustice of it is just staggering. He wasn't a criminal. He was doing his job.
He was a certified ethical hacker.
Yeah.
A white hat. He found a major vulnerability in a medical provider's system. And this wasn't some theoretical flaw.
No.
The system was already being actively extorted. Someone was demanding $60,000 in Bitcoin to keep HIV patient records from being leaked.
So Alberto does the right thing.
He does the responsible thing. He reports the flaw. He blows the whistle. But the police, well, let's just say they lacked a certain amount of technical literacy.
That is the most diplomatic way I have ever heard that put. They raided his house.
They did. And the list of so-called evidence they took is, it would be hilarious if it wasn't so deeply tragic.
What was on the list?
They found hard drives. Okay, standard. They found a Guy Fawkes mask.
Of course they did.
And my absolute favorite, they found merchandise from the TV show Mr. Robot.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. To a police officer in 2017 who, doesn't get the culture, a Guy Fawkes mask and a Mr. Robot hoodie looks like a villain's starter pack.
For anyone in this industry, that's just a Tuesday. That's just being a nerd.
It's just being a nerd. But they treated him like a monster. They threw him into a maximum security prison. A prison filled with murderers, rapists, the most violent offenders in the country.
All because he tried to fix a computer bug.
He calls it identity inversion. The system is so broken that it takes the protector and labels them the predator.
And that kind of experience, it would break most people.
It would break almost anyone. But Alberto has this incredible philosophy he developed from it. He calls it post-traumatic growth. He has this quote I absolutely love. He says, "Mushrooms don't bloom, they emerge from the dark. From decay."
Wow.
So he didn't just survive prison. He came out sharper. He got a master's in digital currencies while this was all going on. He stacked up certifications, CSX, CEH, PMP. He essentially rebuilt himself into what he calls the error that refuses to be deleted.
Which brings us right back to that Friday morning.
Yeah.
Mama Cell sends the text.
Right.
Alberto sees Nicole Eggert, a celebrity he's admired, is in trouble. And while you or I might just, retweet it with a sad emoji and move on with our day.
He sees a mirror. He sees the exact same dynamic that happened to him playing out all over again.
The system is failing.
The system is failing. He sees an innocent person, in this case, a cancer survivor, screaming for help, and the authorities, in this case Meta's algorithms, are just completely ignoring her.
It's a trigger.
It has to be. He steps in not just as a hired consultant, but as what he calls a trusted agent. And he made a promise to her. She was terrified of losing those cancer journals, and he told her, flat out, not in this lifetime.
And we really have to underline the stakes for Nicole here. This is so much more than losing some old vacation photo.
Oh, it's not about that at all. Since her diagnosis in 2024, she's been using her Facebook page as a public cancer journey narrative.
It's a journal.
It's a medical log of her chemotherapy treatments. It's a timeline of her fight, her survival. It's her connection to a support network of thousands of people who are following her story, cheering her on.
So if that deletion timer hits 0,
that entire narrative is just gone. forever. It's what lawyers would call spoliation of evidence, but for Nicole, on a human level, it's erasing her fight. It's erasing a huge part of her life.
And she wasn't panicking alone in this, was she? You mentioned a relative was also involved.
That's right. Her relative, Sam, who's over in England, Sam was also in the mix, trying everything, trying to sound the alarm, sending messages. It was a real family effort.
But they were just hitting a brick wall.
A digital brick wall, the wall that is Meta's support system. Or, more accurately, the lack of one.
I think we've all experienced some version of that wall.
Absolutely. Nicole tried every single help link. She went through the verification process. She sent in her ID. But the system, you have to understand, is designed to deflect, not assist.
It's designed for efficiency at scale, not for edge cases.
Exactly. And Alberto has a term for this. He calls it epistemic injustice. The algorithm is structurally blind. It sees the hacker, who has the password, as the legitimate owner. And it sees Nicole, the actual human being whose life is on that page, as the intruder trying to get in.
It's a total inversion of reality. So let's talk about the dragon in this story. Who is this hacker?
The dragon is, well, it's a little pathetic, to be honest.
No.
The email address that was used for the takeover is gulpersacker@hotmail.com.
Gulpersacker? Seriously. That sounds like a generic villain name from a bad 80s movie.
It absolutely does, and the profile seems to fit. This isn't some elite nation-state actor. Alberto and his team did the recon on this email.
What do they find?
It's linked to a bunch of other accounts: Roblox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, and several different crypto wallets.
So we're likely dealing with a kid.
We're likely dealing with a younger individual, someone who is deeply embedded in that gaming and, crypto trading subculture. Not a mastermind.
So how does a Gulpersacker take down a Hollywood star? What was the attack vector?
The evidence points pretty strongly to a SIM swap, and this is really important because this can happen to anyone listening to this right now.
Explain how that works.
So the hacker, Gulpersacker, likely used social engineering. They called up Nicole's cell phone carrier, T-Mobile, Verizon, whoever it is, and pretended to be her.
Hi, I'm Nicole Eggert. I lost my phone.
Something just like that. They convince a probably overworked, undertrained customer service representative to port her phone number over to a new SIM card, a SIM card that the hacker controls.
And once they have your phone number,
they have the keys to the kingdom. It's that simple. They just go to Facebook, they hit forgot password, and they select the option to send recovery code to my phone.
And that code doesn't go to Nicole's phone anymore.
It goes directly to the hacker. They punch in the code, they change the password, they immediately enable their own two-factor authentication, and just like that, Nicole is completely locked out of her own life.
And then you said it wasn't just about stealing the account. Then the vendetta started.
Yes. This is what makes it so strange. Usually with these kinds of hacks, the goal is a quick ransom. Pay me $500 in Bitcoin and I'll give it back.
But that's not what happened here.
Not at all. Gulpersacker immediately started applying for credit cards in Nicole's name. That's wire fraud. They tried to transfer her cell service again to consolidate control. And crucially, they hit that 30-day deletion timer almost immediately.
They weren't just holding it hostage. They were actively trying to nuke it from orbit.
They were trying to erase her. It felt personal, malicious.
So this is the scene. A ticking clock, a family in panic, and an algorithm that's actively working against the victim. And into this chaos steps Alberto.
Right. And he knows he can't just hack back. You don't hack into Facebook servers. That's not how this works.
So what does he do?
He initiates what he calls the tricontinental pincer.
I love the sound of that. It's so tactical. It sounds like something out of a Tom Clancy novel.
It is. It's basically a Scorched Earth protocol. Alberto realized immediately that all the standard automated recovery tools had failed. They were useless. He had to find a way to bypass the AI filters entirely and force an actual human being at Meta to look at this case.
How do you do that?
You create legal liability. You make it more painful for them to ignore you than to help you.
Okay, so walk us through the three prongs of this pincer. Prong one is here in the USA.
Correct. The victim, Nicole, is in the U.S. So prong one is to file a formal consumer complaint with the California State Attorney General.
And the argument is?
The argument is simple and powerful. Meta, your platform, is being used to facilitate ongoing identity theft and wire fraud. The hacker is using Nicole's account to apply for fraudulent credit cards. Therefore, Meta is the venue for a crime, and by failing to act, you are complicit.
That definitely puts some pressure on. But, I mean, consumer complaints can take months, right? That's slow.
Way too slow. The deletion timer is ticking. So that brings us to prong two, Uruguay. the investigator.
How does Uruguay get involved?
Alberto brings in the Ministry of Interior's cybercrimes unit in his home country. Because he, as a Uruguayan citizen, is now communicating with the hacker and acting as Nicole's agent, he creates a jurisdictional hook in South America.
So it's not just a U.S. problem anymore.
Exactly. It internationalizes the conflict. It adds another layer of official paperwork that Meta's legal team has to deal with.
But the real checkmate move, the one that I think is just pure genius, is prong 3, Europe.
The loophole. This is where Alberto's entire life story becomes a weapon.
He holds Italian citizenship.
He does. He is a citizen of the EU.
Okay, I'm following you there. But Nicole is American. Facebook is an American company. The hack happened to an American. How does his Italian passport help at all?
This is the beautiful part. It all comes down to the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. It is by far the strictest, most powerful data privacy law on the planet.
And he found a way to apply it here.
He did. His argument is brilliant because it's so simple. He and Nicole have been friends on Facebook for 7 years. They've exchanged DMs, comments, photos, thousands of interactions.
His personal data is inside her account.
Bingo. By allowing Gulpersacker, an unauthorized third party, to have full control of Nicole's account, Meta is technically allowing that hacker to access the private data of an EU citizen, Alberto.
Wow. He turned her account hack into a violation of his civil rights under European law.
That's exactly what he did. He filed a formal complaint with the Irish Data Protection Commission, the DPC.
Why Ireland specifically?
Because that's where Meta has its European headquarters. For legal purposes under GDPR, Meta is an Irish company. He opened an official case. Case reference DPC 02269181167.
And what does that do? Why is the Irish DPC so scary to a company like Meta?
Fines. The DPC has the power to fine a company up to 4% of its global annual revenue.
4% of global, we're talking billions of dollars.
Billions with a B. So all of a sudden, this little problem, ignoring Nicole Eggert's help requests, isn't just a customer service issue or a bad PR move anymore. It's a massive, quantifiable financial risk.
That is the nuclear option.
Alberto calls it the Irish Claw. And as soon as he had that case number, he started carpet bombing Meta's legal department. Emails to legal@meta.com, escalations@cases.meta.com, their data protection officer.
And what was the response?
At first, nothing. Just the automated wall. He was getting 550 and 554 error codes back. Sender not authenticated, domain unavailable. Meta's own servers were automatically rejecting his legal notices.
Unbelievable.
But once that DPC case number existed, they had to pay attention. You can't ignore a regulator that can cost you billions. It forces what's known in the industry as the silent fix.
Where they don't admit anything, but they quietly fix the problem to make the regulator go away.
That's the goal. But Alberto wasn't working alone in this, and this is where the story gets even more interesting and a little weirder. We have to talk about the wild card.
The ghost in the machine.
The entity known as Surge.
Surge. The handle is at your anon surge. I mean, that name alone, it feels like we're stepping back in time to the peak days of Anonymous around 2011. Who is this person or this group?
Esther Cruz is a ghost. I mean, if you go look at the X profile, it's got something like 23 followers. There have been no text posts for over 2 years. It looks like a dead account.
But it's not.
It's not. The bio is what's important. It lists affiliations with #antisec, #oprussia, #opchina. This is not some random troll. This is someone who claims ownership of groups called M4D, LULZ, and Chaosic.
In your notes, you said this person, you think it's a she, is actually mid to high profile within the collective.
I am not bluffing on that, yes. While the public-facing profile is dormant, our research suggests Surge EA is incredibly active in the underground. We're talking encrypted voice chats on Signal, private Twitter spaces. This is an operator, someone who has been part of major epic ops.
So this is a serious player.
A very serious player. And I say she because multiple sources who have been in those voice chats describe the persona as female. She's very well connected. And in this story, she plays the bad cop to Alberto's good cop.
A classic interrogation tactic. So what did the bad cop do?
Soji went hunting. She took that Gulpersacker at hotmail.com email address and she tracked it across the dark corners of the internet.
And she found something.
She found the smoking gun. She managed to locate the hacker's UUIDs.
Okay, let's geek out for a second. UUID. Universally unique identifiers. Why is that so important?
A UUID is like a digital fingerprint that's been etched in stone. It's a permanent serial number for a user profile. You can change your gamer tag from, HackerKing123 to FluffyBunny45, but your UUID on that service stays the same forever. It's tied to you.
So she found the permanent ID behind the disposable email.
Precisely. She found the UUIDs linked to Gulpersacker from Microsoft's gaming services, so Xbox, Minecraft, and she found something else, something crucial.
What's that?
She found proof that this hacker had paid for services from a group called Chaos.
Chaos service.
They're boot services, DDoS for hire. You pay them crypto, and they'll launch a distributed denial of service attack against any target you want.
So that proves Gulpersacker isn't some elite coder.
Right. They're a script kiddie, someone who pays for pre-made tools to cause chaos because they can't build them themselves. So Estrie gathers all of this intelligence, the UUIDs, the real-world connections, the proof of payment for illegal services, and she drafts a red alert tweet.
I saw a screenshot of the draft. It was chilling. It wasn't a vague threat. It was basically, we know who you are. We have your information. If Meta doesn't act and give the account back, we will dox you to the entire world.
It's pure psychological warfare. It's the theater of war. And Alberto, the good cop, played his part to perfection.
What do you do?
He goes on X, he tags Meta's official accounts, and he publicly says, and I'm paraphrasing here, I am holding them back. I have bought you a grace period, but I cannot hold them back forever. Anonymous is holding Surge.
That's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It positions him as the reasonable negotiator. It's a message to Meta. Hey, you can deal with me, the professional consultant, with the legal filings and certifications, or you can deal with the chaotic, unpredictable hacktivist who was about to burn your entire house down. Your choice.
It creates immense pressure, but it also raises a really fascinating question.
Which is
Surge actually real, or is Surge just Alberto?
the sock puppet theory. An alternate account he controls himself.
Exactly. Our source analysis puts the probability somewhere between 70 and 85% that Surge is a sock puppet account controlled directly by Alberto.
What's the evidence for that?
The timing is just too perfect. The voice, that tone of righteous theatrical anger, it matches Alberto's style perfectly. And strategically, it makes so much sense. It allows him to use illegal leverage, the threat of doxing, while maintaining his own position as the legitimate professional consultant who is acting by the book.
He can't threaten to dox someone himself. That would destroy his credibility. But his uncontrollable ally can.
Exactly. But there is counter evidence.
You said she's been heard in voice chats?
That's the big one. Surge operates in voice chats, and people have heard her speak. So unless Alberto is using a very, very good real-time voice modulator, it's possible Surge is a completely real and distinct person. A sister in arms from the collective who saw the situation, respected Alberto's work, and decided to step up and help the cause.
Either way, a ghost or a sock puppet, the effect on Meta is the same.
The pressure is the same. The threat is real.
You know, I want to talk about Alberto's style through all of this. Because he's not just this dry technical operator. He's got this flair. He's funny. And he seems fiercely loyal.
Oh, absolutely. He's a character. And he understands the human element of all this. Take the email he drafted for Nicole to post on her social media once she finally recovers her account. It's not a boring I'm back message. It's poetry.
Read some of it. It's incredible.
He wrote, the lesson, if you want to survive the AI apocalypse, don't rely on customer support. Make friends with a hacker.
I love that opening.
It gets better, because when Gulpersacker at hotmail.com comes for you, the algorithm won't care. But the guy you DM'd in 2019 might just burn the world down to get your photos back.
Might just burn the world down to get your photos back.
Yeah.
That gives me chills. It's that passion, that human connection that is just completely missing from corporate tech support.
100%. And he's also trying to keep her spirits up. In the middle of all this stress, he recorded an audio file for her. The file name was literally Uruguayan hacker saves Nicole Eggert from deletion.m4a.
Lives. He made a movie trailer for his own hack.
He basically did. He sent it to her just to make her smile, just to give her a little bit of a movie moment to hold on to while she was living through, as she put it, hell the whole week. He gets that this is a psychological battle, not just a technical one.
He's also not afraid to flex his expertise and take some shots at the fakers in the industry.
Oh, he has zero patience for what he calls the fraudulent expert.
Especially in the crypto space.
Yes. I saw one of his messages to Nicole where he was explaining the evidence he submitted to the DPC. He told her, I didn't use screenshots for the evidence. I used the real files with all the metadata intact. Legally admissible. He knows the difference. And then he made this comment that made me laugh out loud.
The three-way handshake one.
That's the one. He said something like, these crypto gurus on TV, they talk about blockchain all day, but they can't even explain a simple TCP/IP three-way handshake.
For our listeners who aren't network engineers, why is that such a sick burn?
Because the three-way handshake is networking 101. It's the absolute foundation of how the internet works. SYN, SYN, ACK, ACK. It's how two computers reliably connect to each other.
It's how they say hello.
It's how they say hello. And Alberto's point is, if you don't understand that most basic building block, then you don't really understand how any of this works. You're just a hype man who learned some buzzwords.
So let's get down to it. Where are we right now? Today is February 13th, 2026. The clock is ticking. What is the current status of the account?
As of this moment, as we are recording this, the account is still compromised. The 30-day deletion timer that Gulpersacker started is still ticking down.
That is just terrifying. After all this, after the legal filings, after Anonymous getting involved, she's still locked out and the clock is still running.
It is. But there's hope.
Yeah.
The Irish Claw is digging in deep. The DPC inquiry is active and official. Meta is now in a bind. They cannot legally ignore the Irish regulator. The odds of a full recovery are now estimated at around 70%, almost entirely because of that regulatory pressure.
So why is it taking so long? Why can't Mark Zuckerberg or someone high up just see this, see the PR nightmare, and press the big red undo button?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? That is the meta critique at the heart of this. On one level, it's just sheer bureaucratic inertia and structural blindness.
But you mentioned there's a darker theory, a more cynical possibility.
There is. Some analysts believe Meta might be deliberately dragging its feet because of Alberto's brilliant GDPR angle.
How does that make sense? Why would they resist the thing that's forcing them to act?
Because of precedent. Think about it. If Meta officially acknowledges and resolves this case based on the principle that an Italian citizen can use GDPR to protect an American's account, it opens the floodgates.
It creates a global loophole.
A massive one. Suddenly, any person in the United States who has ever DM'd a friend in Europe could potentially use GDPR to bypass Meta's terms of service, to bypass their mandatory arbitration clauses. It could fundamentally break their legal shield on a global scale.
So they're weighing the bad PR from this one case
Against the possibility of a million future lawsuits that they can't control. They might be hesitating because fixing this one obvious problem for Nicole Eggert could create a catastrophic legal problem for Meta itself.
That is just, it's incredibly cynical.
It is. But it's how corporate risk assessment works. In that scenario, they are effectively protecting a criminal over a cancer survivor, because the criminal fits neatly into their automated system, while the cancer survivor represents an unpredictable and dangerous legal precedent.
We need to try and cut through that. If anyone from Meta's legal or escalations team is listening, and let's be honest, their speech-to-text transcription algorithms are probably parsing this conversation right now, we have a very direct and simple question for you.
It's a very simple question. We have looked at the technology.
Right.
We have looked at the law. We have looked at the human element. So, Meta, is there any single element that is preventing you or stopping you from giving back full control of the account to Nicole Eggert?
It's not a trick question. Is there a technical blocker we don't know about? No, we know this is reversible. Is there a verification blocker? No. She set her ID. She's made videos. She has a trusted agent. The only blocker appears to be your own internal bureaucracy.
And maybe, just maybe, a profound lack of corporate empathy. But that's why this story is also about the power of the community.
The two-pronged attack.
Exactly. You have the community mobilization, all the thousands of fans reporting the account as hacked, raising awareness, and you combine that with this high-level warfare, the GDPR complaints, the threat from Anonymous. It seems that's the only way to get a giant to listen anymore.
And it just serves as a reminder of how fragile our digital lives really are. We are all, every single one of us, just one Gulpersacker away from deletion.
We really are. So please, if you take one thing away from this, take Alberto's advice. Go enable proper two-factor authentication on your important accounts right now.
And not SMS.
Never SMS. Use an authenticator app, or even better, a physical security key like a YubiKey. Go to your settings and download an archive of your data. Keep a backup of your digital life offline where no one can touch it.
And maybe, just maybe, make friends with a hacker.
You never know when you might need a digital knight to burn the world down for you.
Alberto, Nicole, Sam, Mama Cell, we're all rooting for you. Stay safe out there, everyone. This has been The Deep Dive.